We're good. Thank you all for being here. It's good to see everybody again. We leave tomorrow to go on the Bay Area trip. We play at Cal on Friday and then at Stanford on Sunday. Both coming off. Cal won both games last weekend. They upset UCLA at home, and then they beat USC. So they're, I think, 5-7 right now in Pac-12 play. And then Stanford. We all know how good they are. So going to be a challenging weekend for us, like they all have been. But we've had a couple days, where the players have had some time to get in the gym and shoot. And every time I walk by our practice gym, the music's going and players are in there shooting and working on what they need to work on. So I know we want to keep getting better and keep fighting. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
How has Wendy developed as the team has needed her more recently?
What do you mean?
Just how has she kind of stepped up her game, especially with Josetta sitting?
Yeah, no, Wendy's been great. I thought she was really good against Wazoo. She's been really consistent, and that's something we've really needed with Josetta out and Potter kind of, being inconsistent. And Wendy, I'm really proud of her. She's done a really nice job. I think as we've, a couple months ago, I think I talked about how Wendy, her biggest thing her biggest hurdle is kind of getting out of her own way in terms of, she just having that confidence, needing that confidence. And you can see that, how she's playing, how she's carrying herself, how she's practicing. She's getting that real intrinsic confidence, and I think it's showing on the floor. So she's been a huge help. She's doing a really nice job.
So as you mentioned, it's going to be a kind of a challenging road trip for you guys, playing two good teams.
Aren't they all?
They all are. Last time you guys played Cal here, it was a close game, kind of came down right to the very end, but you guys pulled it out. What's it going to take for you guys to pull out a good win against this Cal team and then to compete against Stanford on the road?
Well, we'll go one at a time. With Cal, they're really long and extremely athletic. And at home they've done a nice job this season. They start games really strong. They play with a lot more emotion at home, it seems. And so that's going to be tough. We're going to have to match that emotion and that kind of thing. But they're very athletic. They've got a potential All-American in their center, Christina Nigwe. She's very good. So we're going to have to just be tough on the boards. That's one thing whenever you play Cal. If you're not committed to rebounding, you're going to lose. They're going to beat you, and they're going to beat you convincingly. So we've got to be really, really tough on the boards, and I think we just have to be mentally tough. The last stretch has been tough, hard, challenging, whatever word you want to use. But we've got to toughen up and just keep rolling. And so I think going into Cal, that's no different. It's going to be we're going to have to bring serious toughness on the boards, physically and mentally. And then, Stanford's good. We played them pretty well at our place. The score, it looks like we lost worse than I felt like we did. I thought we played pretty good against them. But they're tough to beat at their place. But we're just going to go one at a time. And right now, I'm 100% focused on Cal.
So you mentioned rebounding against Cal. On the season, when you guys win the rebounding battle, you're 11-2. When the opposing team wins, you guys are 2-7. Is that something that you guys are working on, especially considering the last game against Washington State? It's probably fair to say one rebound cost you guys game.
And that's statistically significant right there, 11-2 and 2-7. That's you can't really argue that. And that's something for us, for my teams, everywhere I've coached, it's been a focal point and absolutely critical to, if you want to play, you're going to rebound. But rebounding, it is desire and effort and, toughness and physicality and all those things. It doesn't matter if you're 5'2" or 7'2", you can do those things. And so that's why, for me, it's a non-negotiable. Rebounding is a non-negotiable. It's completely controllable for a player. So, that's a great stat that I can share with our team about, look, when you guys commit to doing this, we're pretty doggone good. And when you don't, we're pretty beatable.
Obviously, you never like to see yourself at the bottom or ranked 12th in shooting. What's sort of maybe the practice sort of element that you're adjusting or trying to work on in terms of making that basket look a little bigger?
Yeah, it's been a struggle, in Pac-12 play. It just has. And as a coach, I don't think there's a magic play, but I think we can get creative, and we've done a lot of stuff to try to get different people's shots at different spots and get people moving, and it's tough, and it's hard when the team, if we're not hitting outside shots consistently. Paige, I think, is our biggest threat out there, and Crozen and people fly out at her. But other than that, it's kind of daring us to shoot, and we've got to be able to knock those down. And like I said, there's no real magic play. Now, I think it's two-part. As coaches, we've got to put our players in opportunities to be successful, to make those shots, to take good shots. And then as players, they've got to put the work in and knock them down. It's, scoring it's contagious. If I go down and hit a three, the next possession, when you go down and take it, you're going to be more comfortable, confident taking it because I just made one. Missing is contagious too. If I go down and miss, then you're going to feel more pressure when you shoot it. It's really that simple. And so that's where the mental toughness and the preparation plays in. So if you come in and you shoot on your own, and players they want to be good, and they're trying to get themselves out of it. But it's just going to have to kind of be, I have a feeling, just one of those watershed games where it all just kind of falls together, and then we can stop talking about it.
And I know sometimes coaches look to other teams for inspiration. Is there a team that you're looking at, or maybe schemes that you're trying to add? You talk about getting players in different spots. Is there maybe a team that's an inspiration to you on film or otherwise?
No, I wouldn't identify one. But I'm in constant contact with coaches that I trust and that know our team, and kind of saying, what do you think? What would you do? What do you see? I'm always wanting feedback, and so I've gotten some good feedback in terms of what we can maybe do and tweak. And I'm not, my ego has no skin in the game. Like, I want to win and I want to play well. It doesn't matter where the ideas come from.
So you guys have had some ups and downs this season. You've played, you haven't played a lot of close games, but some of them on the season have been pretty close, and some of them you maybe felt closer than they actually were. Mm-hmm. With only one senior, on the team, is it maybe fair to say that some of the struggles you guys have had is from being kind of a younger team, being inexperienced, not having a lot of experience in playing close games?
Could be, yeah. I'm sure there is some of that, and I've mentioned it before. I think losing Danny Rodriguez was bigger than we all really thought in terms of having a 4-year starter as a point guard that played a lot of minutes in the Pac-12, got knocked down a lot of times, got back up. I think we kind of, for me, I only got to coach her 1 year. You come in, and that's kind of who I inherited, and she did just a great job. And I don't think I realized how fortunate I was. I mean, I knew it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, looking back, it's like, wow, she was really valuable. And, we have two very young point guards. Erica Bean's a sophomore, but she didn't, she played behind Danny last year. I don't think she played double-digit minutes. And so she's been kind of thrown in the deep end, and she's done a good job, but it is a learning process, to your point. And then Kiana Moore's a freshman, and we have Megan Jacobs playing a little one as well last game, and she's just a freshman. So I think that plays a role, and I don't think that's, it's not about fault or like blame or anything like that, but experience is real. We do, however, have 4 returning starters from last year's team that have played a lot of minutes as well, and so we need them to we need to lean on them a little bit more.
What would you say has been the biggest surprise so far this season? Or maybe there's more than one.
With my team?
Yes.
Ooh. I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
Or has the season kind of gone as maybe you
not
really expected, but
yeah.
maybe kind of you're not surprised at that, or?
No, we are in year 2 of changing a culture, and it's hard, and it's, there's no excuses to it, and we're in the toughest, best conference in the country. So, trying to build and climb when you were, the year before I got here, I think we finished 11th or 12th. Last year we finished 7th. Trying to climb when everybody above you is really, really good is hard. And so we're just, we're still in the stages of doing, for me as a leader, wanting to make sure our team operates the way we want to operate, build on who we are as a culture, all that kind of stuff, and then continue recruiting like crazy and coach these guys up. So I don't know what's been the biggest surprise. I wouldn't have thought going into this weekend we would be where we're at in the conference if you would have asked me in November or December or even right when conference play started. But it is what it is, and we've got to lace them up and get after it. I mean, there's no looking back right now. We've got to just keep looking forward.
As you mentioned, you've been switching up lineups a little bit. What kind of goes into that? Is there something you see in practice? Is there sometimes a skill set that you're like, what if we just put this here?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, it's all of the above, and I think if we need sometimes, we had dropped a couple in a row, and I wasn't pleased with how we were playing. So you mix it up. It's like shaking it up. Let's see if this can, get us rolling a little bit. And I'm not a coach that changes up lineups a ton. I've never really done that. So it is always kind of when it does happen, it's always like, ooh, it's always a bigger deal than I think I intend it to be. But it is, and I think, again, I want to establish, win or lose, I want us to play and conduct ourselves and carry ourselves with how our culture is going to be moving forward. And so any kind of sacrifice of that, we're going to switch things up. So if players aren't conducting themselves in the manner that I expect as we move forward in terms of our culture, team first, all that kind of stuff, then I'm going to mix it up. I'm not going to sacrifice a win for establishing our culture.
I also was wondering a little bit about Tay. She's a captain this year. She seems very involved off the court.
Yeah.
What sort of when you met her, do you kind of see those qualities early in her that she's kind of somebody people look up to?
Yeah, Tay's a great person, and off the floor, she's really involved in the Pac-12. She's a kind of an ambassador for Utah athletics, the student athletes with the Pac-12 and kind of with the NCAA, and she really enjoys that. She's missed a few days of practice going down to conferences and that kind of thing, student leadership stuff. I know she's really involved in FCA on campus. I think she might be the president of the huddle here at Utah Athletics. She's just a quality person, and she's got a maturity to her that we, kind of lean on as coaches with her, on the floor. She kind of is, she's not kind of, she's very, very even-keeled, consistent human being, which is valuable. She doesn't get too high and she doesn't get too low. And I think she's come, she put a lot of time in this summer, and some of the stuff that she's doing doesn't get recognized. Some of the things that she's doing are really valuable. But her leadership right now is key. As I said, I think just she's really confident and comfortable in her own skin. She knows who she is. She knows who she's not. And that's valuable with the team.
It looks like you guys have almost one could almost say a repeat of last weekend in terms of the talent that you're going to face this weekend in Cal and Stanford. Having played Washington State very close, having played very well last weekend in spite of a few errors, what can you take from last weekend and kind of go moving forward?
Well, we kind of got boat raced against UW. That was not a good game, and they're really, really good. It wasn't a good game for us. And so we just kind of flushed it and focused on Wazoo. And I think what we learned from Wazoo is that everything matters in this conference. If you want to win a game, everything matters. And by everything, I mean, execution of sets, our bench energy, one missed blockout, as you mentioned, one loose ball, one time you don't get back in transition D. Like those little things you can say, it's just one time. Well, it matters. And if you want to win, especially in February, it's not like November, like, okay, I'm still learning that. We know this stuff. And you want to win, in this league, you got to control what you can control. Like, you can't maybe necessarily control if you go, 1 for 6 from 3 or 5 from 6 from 3 in a certain game, but you can control if you box out every time. You can control if you dive on a loose ball every time. You can control what your energy is on the bench. You can control what your energy is with your teammates. Those are all things that matter. And so when we have inconsistencies in those things, we're going to be inconsistent in the wins and losses as well.
Anything else? We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate being here.